Welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. I'm Larry.
And I'm Vince,
Welcome to the show.
where we talk all things cryptid,
Sasquatch,
aliens,
hauntings.
and anything paranormal you would like to share with us.
You can reach us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
So settle in, open your mind, and enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to Cryptid Crossroads 505. We're in the studio doing it once again. Vince, give me a shout out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the studio. Glad to have you.
That's right. So we're going to kick it off again today, of course, talking about Sasquatch. We may dip into a few other topics, but we're going to kick it off with Sasquatch. So the last time we talked to you guys, we told you that there was a photo circulating that we were going to put on the screen behind us, and there it is. We want you to look at that, and we want you to decide for yourself. Is it real or is it Memorex?
Right.
And I ask you to decide for yourself because lately, with the emergence of AI, I know there's videos floating around. An election video. There was another video floating around that was AI generated that showed a bombing near the Pentagon. So pictures like this are going to be commonplace. It's going to be up to us to use our discernment and determine what we think about them. If you think there won't be AI generated Bigfoot pictures, think again.
Right. And there's going to be all kinds of, as technology advances, there's going to be all kinds of different stuff out there. And I don't know. I don't believe you could always trust the news to report the truth. So
No.
you, like you said, you got to choose what to believe and what not to believe.
That's right. It's going to come down to what you believe and how you look at things. But yeah, I think, and they say, well, we're going to regulate AI, and I just don't put much faith in that.
Right.
I really don't.
The government really don't know how to regulate anything.
Right.
Just look at the spending predicament we're in right now.
Well, look at how they regulate immigration.
Right. How do they?
Our point taken, right? Anyway, there's a picture. Look at it for yourself and let us know what you think. And
Speaking of picture, you also sent me another picture of a man next to a supposed Sasquatch.
right.
Now it's a very tall thing. It looks primate.
Right.
It almost looks like a giant chimp.
Almost. I mean, it does. So when I first saw this picture, I thought, wow, okay, let's look at this. A matter of fact, that same picture I sent you, someone's trying to debunk it, and they're already saying that that's an AI-generated picture.
Oh, okay.
And that's why we're entering a new era of what they would call disinformation. But for those of you that have had your personal encounters, this creature is real.
Right.
It's not a myth. You had your firsthand experience. So no matter what picture circulates, some of you out there know that no matter what picture they post, this creature's real.
Right. The only thing with these new hoaxes and stuff, it's just going to discredit the whole community more.
It is.
And it's going to make a lot of people who may be on the fence say, yeah, it's all bullcrap.
Right. That's what it's going to do. It's going to create a wider divide.
Right.
So you're going to get hardcore people like us that believe this creature's out there and he's real. And like you said, you're going to get the people that were on the fence and now they're like, now see, I knew it all along.
Right. But if you've had your experience and just stick to what you know, trust your own eyes, your own experience.
Right. No. And there's been a lot of videos circulating about the Nephilim. That's becoming a hot topic.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've seen several videos circulating on Facebook and on YouTube, and I sent my brother one where they're supposedly saying that the U.S. government is working with the Nephilim in these deep underground bases.
And what I found interesting about that is Nephilim, there are fallen angels, correct?
Correct.
And they said you got to sign an agreement before you even go to these underground labs to never use the word Jesus Christ.
Right.
Even in the sense where like you stub your toe or something, because it's, I guess, a sensitive topic, seeing how they are the fallen angels.
Right.
And they even said that these people are getting ready for a intergalactic war with God, right?
Yeah, right.
Something like that. And I don't know, if you truly believe in God, none of this stuff really matters to him. I don't know.
Well, and they feel like they're going to win the war with God. And of course, if you're a believer and you read your Bible, you'll see that all through history, yeah, they're trying to steer mankind wrong because they think it is winnable. But the Bible says different. We know how the story ends.
Right. But, the interesting about this video is they never once mention a weapon.
No.
So maybe in a sense they are kind of winning the battle. Maybe not the war, but the battle. Look at human behavior here on Earth now.
Right. And it is, a lot of it is, well, let me rephrase this, and I'm not trying to make this into a religious discussion or whatnot, but like I've told many people, and everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people are familiar that when Jesus went into the desert and he was tempted by the devil, one of the things that Satan offered him was the kingdoms of the world. And I always tell people, you can't offer what's not yours. And not once did Jesus dispute it and say they're not yours to give,
Right.
So then it has to be a true fact that the kingdoms of the world belong to him. And no matter what kingdom you live in, he influences it. If you just look around you now, especially in today's society, that's a pretty good point.
Right. But you said you weren't trying to make it into a religious thing. I know the minute you say, bring me the priest.
That's a little expert for those of you that haven't seen the Pope's Exorcist.
Yeah, good watch. Good watch.
Yeah, it was a good watch. But anyway, on that note, I did see another video where it was supposedly in 2017 that they uncovered a tomb in the area of Egypt, and they're saying Nephilim, and they were like petrified, almost solidified like a rock, and they had like jewelry on and whatnot. And there again, I said, okay, I'm gonna have to really take this with a grain of salt. But like I said, the Nephilim are a hot topic.
Right, just like that other video. Now, this story has been circulating for some time during the Gulf War or Afghanistan War, with the giant of Kandahar. Right. Now, the only difference is this time we got a different person's perspective on what happened. He was actually part of the air crew that flew it out.
Right. That was a good video, and I listened to the story, and the story, it really intrigued me. And what really caught my attention is when he related it back to New Mexico, right?
Albuquerque.
Right here where we live, Albuquerque. He was told by just a Native American that he met at Cali's Brew Pub. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Cali's, it's just a place where you could go have food and drink, and you could sit outside in the patio. But when he said that, I'm like, okay, this guy does know Albuquerque, so right. There's got to be a grain of truth to this story.
Right, and the part that I thought was interesting is him and another gentleman were in Cali's having a drink, and the Native American man approached him. The Native American man sensed something, right. Maybe that he had been in the presence of a giant or something, because he told him he needed to pray over him. Right. And then he basically confirmed what the guy said about seeing a giant. And the Native American man said, yeah, they are here. The earth swallowed them up, he said, according to their folklore. Right. And any time now, the earth is going to spit them back out. Right. And he was referring to the Sandia Mountains right here in Albuquerque. He said that the Sandia swallowed them up, and pretty soon they're going to be spit back up, which takes us back to what we were just talking about, the deep underground bases where supposedly the governments of the world are working with the Nephilim. And, right. Of course, they're going to trade technology and whatnot, because if you go to the original story of the Nephilim, which is in Genesis 6:1, it tells you how it doesn't go into detail, but it tells you how they bred with the daughters of men on earth. And there's
where the giants of renown came from, which I always look at that like the myth, the giants of mythical times. Not only that, you go into the Bible and it talks about when they were going to cross into the promised land, and they said, well, how can we defeat these people? We're like grasshoppers in their sight. So those people were extremely large.
Right.
And it just makes you wonder, because a lot of people, and I brought this to some people who supposedly said they know their Bible, and it says the giants were on the earth before the flood and after the flood.
Right.
And everyone says, well, no, everything got destroyed by the flood. I'm like, wow. It says right there in Genesis 6. You take it for what it is, but that's what it says. I didn't say it. The Bible says
Right. Now, the non-believers, people who don't believe in God, the Bible, whatever, they dismiss the Bible as fairy tales.
Right.
Now, it's interesting how the stories in the Bible will coincide with stories from Native Americans
Right.
or other ancient civilizations.
Right.
I mean, so to me, if all these people around the world who never had communication with each other are speaking of the same subjects, same type of stories, there's got to be something to it.
Right. And I mean, and they've spoken about them from generation to generation. We talked about in some of our previous podcasts about the natives in this country and why when you would ride up to a native, why you would hold your hand up. People see the movies and they say how and hold their hand up. But there was a purpose to it, according to the natives, because the Nephilim had 6 fingers and 6 toes. They were 6 digits and 2 rows of teeth. So that's how they would distinguish if you had Nephilim blood, which to them, you're going to try and cannibalize their people, because that's what they did. They tried to eat other natives. And there's tales of them going to war with the Nephilim.
Right.
But that's the whole reason why they held their hand up, to see if you have 5 or 6 digits.
Now, I know we talked about this before, but the skulls they found in Lovelock Cave in Nevada, those were giant skulls, and they also had 2 rows of teeth.
Right.
Now, we've talked about how these fallen angels breeded with man, and I believe that there's still traces of their DNA, because I personally know of people being born with 6 digits,
Right.
but at birth that 6th digit is cut off. It's removed.
Yeah, of
And
course.
you know also.
Right.
I've seen little kids now. It might not be a permanent thing, but sometimes I've seen 2 rows of teeth.
Right.
Like
Oh,
a
yes.
shark. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I believe you're right. I mean, the gene pool, one of the things, and like I said, I'm not trying to make this a religious show, but one of the things that Satan wanted to do was corrupt the gene pool. And now that's a conversation that we could have, and it would take 4 to 6 hours to go through it in detail and to even convince you otherwise. But if the gene pool is corrupted, then, basically, just sum it up. Back then, if the gene pool was corrupted, there would have been no Savior born on earth.
Right.
So we'll leave it at that. But yes, these creatures. So if you read the book of Enoch, they tell you exactly which fallen angel taught what to the people of earth: warfare, how to use musical instruments, the art of meteorology, using metal, even taught women how to use makeup, and it's just crazy. Now, like I said, these are books. Now, the Book of Enoch's not in the Protestant or the Catholic Bible, but the Ethiopians and some other religions, they do have that book, and they do hold it as a holy book. So according to them, these stories are real.
Right.
And, when I read it and I went through it, I'm like, it makes sense. But for whatever reason, that's another discussion.
Right.
It was kept out of the other Bibles.
Now, you mentioned about Satan trying to corrupt the gene pool. I think he's succeeding, because look at all the diseases we have, all the
Right.
deformation, whatever, and they trace it all back to genes.
Right.
Something's wrong with the genes, or
And like I tell people, that started from, if you're religious, that started from the fall in the garden, when Adam and Eve were deceived and they got kicked out of the garden. From that moment on, everything was corrupted.
right. Well, just look at our gene pool. We're supposed to be 6'5" and muscular, and look at us.
Right. 5'4" and fat.
No, well, that's pretty accurate. But yeah, no, we're not blaming it on that.
No, but I mean, these are just interesting things that are circulating around the internet, and it seems like the topic of the Nephilim is coming back as a heated
Right.
debate, and it's
Right.
gaining a lot of attention. And you wonder why.
Yeah.
More people are getting exposed.
More people getting exposed. Maybe something happened, like maybe a leak. That's why that story came about, working with the government.
Right.
Who knows? So something rekindles the fire.
It does.
Just like now we have summertime coming up, we've had a tremendous amount of rainfall.
Right.
So food, berries, nuts in the forests are going to be abundant. So I'd be willing to bet my paycheck that Sasquatch stories are going to go up this summer too.
I guarantee, because, like you said, because there's been an abundance. When there's plenty of water, there's plenty of food,
Right.
and that means all creatures are going to prosper because water.
Right. And I believe the animals know the cycles of the weather better than us. So,
Right.
I mean, we've been in a drought, then we go into a monsoon season, whatever. So they might know what's coming next year better than us. So if we're going to have plentiful fruit and food for the next couple years, you might even see more stories of like the babies being seen, the Sasquatch babies.
You might. No, and I think we are going to get some sightings up in our area. Hopefully, we get one of them.
Yeah.
And because just for that reason. Now, some other areas may be a little drier, but from what I'm hearing, all across our country, there's a lot of water.
Yeah. In
The
some cases,
reservoirs,
too much water.
Yeah, the reservoirs are filling up, but like I said, we need them, and that does lead to more water, rainfall, snowpack that's slowly melting. So these crops that may have not, like we're talking wild crops, the berries and whatnot, that may have not bloomed as much in the previous year. This year, there's going to be an abundance.
Right. And even years where it hasn't been maybe so wet, the seasons, we've been up to the mountains and we see the bushes full of berries.
We do. But it's going to be interesting this year.
Yeah, it is. It is. And hopefully we'll be there to witness it. Last summer, there was a hiccup in our research cycle. So hopefully this year things are back to normal.
Right. Yeah, we're hoping to get back on track. And there was, let's touch base on one more thing. There was a video going around, and it was a good, clear video there again. I don't know where it came from, but it was a triangle UFO. And the caption was, "Not alien, ours," is what they were saying. And I watched the video. It's about 30, 45 seconds long, and it's crystal clear. And then at the end of the video, this triangular UFO just shoots up in the air like super fast. I mean, so fast that it's gone.
Right.
And like I said, the caption said, "Not alien, ours." And that made me think, because, I've read so many stories and so many accounts where the U.S. government has shot them out of the air and were reverse engineering them. And
Not so much shot them, but knocked them out.
right, knocked them out for whatever reason. Even they crashed, but we've acquired that technology and we are reverse engineering it.
Right. And I thought, because I've heard the stories about aliens in these bases working with our government. And but my thought was, well, how come we don't have that technology on the table already?
Right.
But if you really think about it, we do. Look at our telephones.
We kind of do. We really do. I mean, ever since let's say the 40s and 50s, technology just started taking off.
Right.
And I mean, it's doubled like every year. And if you look, and let's go back to when I graduated high school in the mid 80s. And I'm not trying to put my age out there, but I used to say, if I had a phone that I could put in my pocket, because back then I thought I was cool because I had a 20-foot cord on the phone mounted to the wall, so I could take it into my room, lay on my bed, and talk. And I used to always think, if I could have a phone that I could take with me, how cool would that be? Jump ahead 25, 30 years, and there it is
Right here in your pocket.
in my pocket.
And not only a phone, a damn supercomputer.
Yes, the computing power of our phones today are stronger than some of the computers in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I always think of that, and I'm like, be careful what you wish for, right? So it's amazing how technology is just boomed,
Right.
even the internet.
Right. But I've always thought if the government's working with these aliens, how come we don't see more of these things in the sky, these our alien crafts, I guess you could say. But then I always think about it, and you and I both know, because we're both in the military, both work for the government, just because we don't see it, we don't know about it, don't mean it don't exist.
That's right. That's right.
Just like all the other technologies, the spy planes, the SR-71, they spent decades under top secret wraps before the public knew about them.
Right?
And now, like the SR-71, they finally released that to the public when they're getting ready to retire it.
Right.
That's pretty strange how that works, huh?
Right. No, and that's how it is. I mean, because you're going to keep your best military secrets under wrap, and then when you need them, then they come out. But that's why we hear all these leaks, and that's why today it gives people like Bob Lazar, who in the late 80s, late 80s, early 90s, who he basically said, yeah, Area 54. I've seen them. I've worked on them. I've worked on the propulsion side for them, reverse engineering these crafts. And he was in possession of a piece of metal that supposedly that's why they were hunting them down. And that piece of metal was not terrestrial, not of this earth. And they gave it a name, and I forgot the name, but, that piece of metal was a big deal.
Right, right. Apparently, and apparently he's not the only one. You hear, and right now they're conspiracy theories because there's no proof about all these people being hunted, or
Right.
people that just disappear off the face of the earth, or you hear about one automobile fatal crashes.
Right. And that takes us back to Phil Ebner, who started disclosing everything going on in Dulce, New Mexico, and the underground bases there, what's going on. And how he had a battle with some of the army people and aliens down there, and he opens his shirt and he shows you where he was hit by a laser beam, but they saved his life, and he credits one soldier for saving his life, but that soldier died supposedly in this battle. Well, the way he mysteriously ended up committing suicide, it wasn't a suicide at all.
Right.
But he met his demise, and how funny, it's only after he started talking about the technology that they had and where these bases were located. And if you talk to people, there's two things that a lot of people up in Dulce, New Mexico have seen, and that's Sasquatch and UFOs.
Right. And a lot of people like to tie the two together, even
Right.
if they're not into conspiracy theories.
Right.
People, either UFOs, orbs, Sasquatch, a lot of the stories, they have more than one of them in there.
Of course. And like you said, as far as we've been studying this topic, they get tied in together.
Right. Now, I'm still on the fence about if they're really tied in together, but there's been times where we've seen things in the sky. Now, is there something in the forest watching us? I don't know, because our eyes are usually up there. So.
Right. But we have seen some crazy things in the sky. We've seen craft act like none of the aircraft we know can behave. Just the maneuvers they've done, how quick they accelerate, stop on a dime, accelerate in a different direction. Those are things that I've seen, and people may not believe me, but these two ojos locos have seen it.
Yep. Now, I've always, we've talked about this before. We've seen these aircraft, or these, whatever craft they are, do these 90-degree turns, or come to a dead stop, or else just take off like a bat out of hell. And I thought, how could a human survive these G-forces? And when we started talking about that, it's funny because there's explanations that come up on like YouTube videos, or how they have like a cushion, a bubble inside these aircraft that allows the humans to survive these kind of G-forces. But then on the other hand, I think right now the big thing is AI. How do we know AI ain't flying these crafts?
We don't know.
Because I know that's one of the things they're working on as far as our new fighters.
Right. No, no. A lot of the weapons they want, like some of the Navy ships, they want AI to man it, operate it. That's why I brought up AI. That it's a hot topic as well now, and people are afraid of what direction it could take us. This morning on Face the Nation, they were talking to Microsoft's vice chair, who was saying it has to be regulated because they asked him, "Can AI go rogue?" And he didn't say yes, but he pointed that it needs to be controlled just like any other technology, because it could be used for good. And he gave examples of how it could be used for good. I mean, this week they've been trying to find antibiotics that work on these superbugs they're antibiotic resistant. Well, this week there was an article that AI has now found a formula for antibiotics that will kill the superbug. And he gave an example like that and a couple others, and then he kind of didn't say it. But on the other hand, if it goes rogue the way AI is learning today, who's to say they're not going to take over the computers and start a nuclear war?
Right. And I saw an interesting interview. I can't remember who it was. And they asked him the same question about controlling AI.
Right.
And they asked him exactly how does AI work? And his answer was, well, we don't fully understand it. But then again, we don't fully understand how the human brain works.
Right.
So how could you regulate something that you really don't understand all the ins and outs of how it works?
Right. It's going to be a hot topic from here out.
The people are afraid, the ones who want to regulate it, that it's going to end up regulating us.
Right. Well, you look at it, it's like any new technology. It's change, but what is this change going to bring?
Right. It's going to be interesting to see.
It is. Like I tell people, Hollywood does give you some of the secrets that are going to happen. Do you remember the Terminator movie,
Right.
Skynet?
Right.
Here we go.
Or, the Matrix.
Right.
They'll be using us as batteries. They'll have an artificial utopia programmed in our brain. We think we're living our lives when they're using our bodies for fuel.
Right.
I mean, who knows what AI is capable or going to be capable of? They could, take over everything.
We
but
don't know.
I'm covering all my bases because I've been brushing up on the robot dance. I'm one of you. I'm one of you.
No, and it is interesting, and it's interesting to see where it's going to take us. But as far as we know, that there's still a creature out in those woods. It's flesh and blood.
Yep.
He doesn't use AI, but he's a master of the woods.
Right. Now everything's debatable when it comes to Sasquatch because, let's face it, we don't know.
Right.
We don't know other than I seen it for a few seconds.
Right.
I seen something that was eating bones or something. We really don't know.
Or I saw this thing. It wasn't a bear, but it was on 2 feet crossing the road.
Right.
And it did it in 3 steps.
Right.
No, we don't know.
Yep. But hopefully we could catch another peek, and maybe that'll open up some insight for us.
Right.
Maybe we'll see something that somebody hasn't seen.
Right. And that's my whole thing is, like I've said before, I just want to catch a glimpse of it. Now, if I get too terrified to go back into the woods, at least mission accomplished.
Nope. You drug me back, so I'm dragging you back.
But I just think it'd be interesting to see one of these creatures. I mean, I'm not out to harm it, to hurt it. I just want to see it with my own eyes. Do I know they're out there? Yeah, I do. Are they malicious? That depends.
Right. I think any wild animal can be.
I agree. Like I've said before, it depends. If you get juveniles around and there's a mother around, of course, she's going to be defensive because she doesn't know what your purpose with those kids are.
Right. I've seen videos of little kids hand feeding deer and stuff, corn or whatever. And I also seen videos of deer beating up people.
Right.
There's young around.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, that's just how even some humans are like that. They protect their young. Not all.
Right.
Some throw their young to the wolves, but
unfortunately, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but it's human. It's just nature. Whether it's animal, human, the instinct is to protect yours.
Right.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting. Anyway, that's what we wanted to share with you guys tonight. and we hope you enjoyed it.
Right. And if when I get a chance, I'm off the next couple of days. I'll post that video you sent me about the Nephilim, and the second picture of the Sasquatch we talked about, the one I said looks like a tall chimp.
Yeah.
So I'll put them both on our Facebook page. You guys could check them out, and I don't know, judge for yourself. Just even in the comments, let us know what you think. Drop us an email if you want to be more discreet. Whatever floats your boat.
Let us know. Hey, thanks for watching.
We hope all you YouTubers enjoyed the show.
That's right. And don't forget to reach out to us at cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com.
Peace.
Peace.